So we're going to be talking. Oh, great. Here she is. Oh, you know what? Let me see here. Oh, here we go. Okay, great. Come in. Hi.
Hi,
Look at us. We did it.
I'm so excited.
How's it going?
Good, good. I see you
Oh,
in a beautiful space in the sun. You're really living the doing less mindset. I love it.
I have been. I have been more lately than I ever have before because, life will just send you all kinds of opportunities to walk your walk, right?
Absolutely. I'm so
Uh-huh.
happy to have this conversation with you.
I'm so happy to have this conversation with you too, because, as somebody like yourself who is an incredible doctor of psychology and best-selling author, you talk a lot about parenting and being conscious and being mindful. And I don't know how often you talk about how you run your business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's not
I
like your
love it. I
usual
love
topic,
it.
right?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for being here with me. If you all do not know Dr. Shefali, I really want to say her books are a must. So she's got a new one coming out in May called A Radical Awakening, which I'm so excited to get my hands on. But conscious parenting and the awakened family really have impacted the way that I think about raising kids. And I have a 3-year old and a 5.5-year old. So I'm so grateful to you, Dr. Shefali.
Absolutely. I'm
Thank you.
grateful to you for all your
Thank you.
work. So let's dive in.
So let's dive in. So I'm curious. It was back in October 2019. You invited me to come speak at your Evolve conference around the concepts of do less and cyclical living and how we can align our lives and specifically our work with the cycles of nature to have more flow and less stress. And I am curious, why did you think that was an important conversation to have at your live event?
So important, and no one better to deliver it than you because it's such a counterculture message. I mean, your whole book is so against what culture gives permission to us to do. In fact, it's telling us if we do less, there's shame and guilt. And, you advocate so much for mothers and entrepreneurs who are women, especially, to really lean into this idea of doing only what serves you. You're not saying be lazy on the couch. You're saying if you flow with the rhythms of your body and with the real synchronicity from your own inner calling, you will do less, but you'll do more. You'll do more from a heart space, but much less of the noise. So people loved your message because you are really at the forefront of a new kind of permission, especially for mothers.
Yeah, I think that piece around permission is so important. And I'm curious for you, you've been, when would you say you went into business? When did you first consider yourself a business owner, if you do at all?
Yeah, it's been an evolution. First you feel like an imposter with the degrees and so,
Yeah.
but I think I fully embraced that, oh, damn, I'm on my own and I am an entrepreneur and I can't work for anyone really. I have to work for myself. A good 10, 15 years now, and I'm 48,
Okay.
so, something like that in
Okay.
my
So
30s. Yeah.
you've been at this at least a decade, probably a decade and a
Mm-hmm.
half,
Mm-hmm.
being responsible for creating your own financial reality, which we all are, but I think there's an illusion that we aren't when we have a paycheck, right?
Yes, yes. Or when someone
So,
else is making the money,
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm curious, coming from an academic background, what were some of the mindset shifts or internal shifts you needed to make to move into seeing yourself as an entrepreneur and then even more so becoming a thriving entrepreneur?
Yes, and I work with women all the time who are feeling like they're not worthy, cannot charge the money, they're so scared of money. I think that is a big rift in a woman's psyche, her relationship with money, that men don't have as much. We can't charge. And especially if you're in the health field like we are, we feel so guilty, and then I'm sure you've heard people tell us that, oh, you're charging so much, you're supposed to give wisdom for free or give help for free. So we have a lot of conflicting ideas around help, money, and, taking space. So I had to make so many mind shifts. Do you know, when I first started, I couldn't even charge $75. Okay. I was like, $75. I was really so scared because I felt unworthy. And I had a adversarial relationship with money. I thought money was evil. So if money was evil, how can I charge money? Because then I'll be evil. So I had to really, the biggest mind shift was understand what is money. And I shifted from looking at it as an enemy to just freaking energy. And then I charged $90 and then 120. I went through so many little ladder movements, and now I charge something that I can't even imagine. Not because I'm arrogant, but because I'm like, where do I want my time to be spent?
Yes.
And it is worthiness, but it's, women have a hard time. We look at money as the devil, or and then we've been told what poor people are, what rich people are, and we have all this judgment and shame. And I can tell you, if one wants to be an entrepreneur, we have to write down all the judgments we have around that word: money, ownership, rich, poor, wealthy, success, failure, and deconstruct all that, because those things.
Sorry.
I lost you. Our
I'm here.
ideas about those things.
Yeah.
Our ideas around those things are what hold us back.
It's so true. And my first book, Money, A Love Story, handles so much of those things. And we talk about it in Origin, my membership, because we think it's the strategy. Like, I don't have the right Instagram strategy. That's why my business is growing. And it's like, no strategy is ever going to work. And whatever is strategy anyway, we could talk about that. But like, no actual, like, in the world tangible steps are going to work if you haven't reorganized your internal landscape, which is why I love your work so much. You and I did this masterclass on manifesting a while back. It was around the launch of Do Less, and it was such a beautiful reminder. So let's talk about that topic, because I just love.
Yeah, but I just want. Okay. You keep praising me, but I want people to know you are so good at teaching women this, and your Origin membership is so special. I see pictures of it. I see what you guys do. And I really encourage people to explore it, because you are really, I could cry. You're really at the forefront of leading women in this counterculture, permission giving, worth inducing message. And I just love what you do. And I really want people to go explore your website, explore this membership. Another thing is that people think, oh, I can't spend money on myself, so they don't learn, right? So many times we have courses or membership programs, and money is the block. But it's only when we spend money on ourselves can we learn how to make money. We have to learn these things, and we have to invest in ourselves, So I really encourage people to explore what you have to offer, and give 3 months or 6 months of a chance to yourself to learn from Kate. I mean, you are really amazing at what you do. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
I really appreciate you. Thank you. And if you do want to learn about Origin, we're opening the doors next week, and you can come to one of our info sessions and sign up at katenorthrup.com/info. Okay, so let's talk about manifesting. Because in the personal growth world that we're in, the wellness world, whatever this world is, as my friend Laura Belgray calls it, the space. So here we are, and people love to talk about manifesting, and then also people love to hate on manifesting. And so I'm curious, what's your definition of manifesting? Like, what do you mean when you talk about manifesting?
Yeah, it's a really misunderstood term according to me, and I think it's prostituted around really in a way that
Mm,
I don't like, because it gives people the idea that it's a one, two, three, and I think it and I manifest it. So for me, manifestation really simply is when your external reality syncs up and lines up with your internal reality. But to
so
sync it up,
simple.
you have to do a lot of work.
It's so true. It does
Yeah.
take it takes some focus
Yeah,
and
but
some
people are
effort.
right, but they think it's like you think you manifest, and it's so not true. And that
Mm.
actually is a trap, because they keep thinking and concentrating on the vision board, and they think it'll just show up. But it's really a 1,000 step action program that you at least 1,000 steps. And
At least.
but after 1,000 steps you should see some changes, this is not about positive mindset. It is about really understanding how we are the co-creators of our design, our life design. And the reason we're not manifesting is because sometimes shit just happens. There's a whole life factor here. But
Totally.
besides that, it's about how we react to life and how we've designed our life, which is what you teach, how to design a life. That's what Origin, your membership, is
Yeah.
about. I think it's like you have a small group of women, right? It's a small group of women because
The
you
membership itself is a larger group.
oh,
I
so
have a
that
small group in my mastermind, but
okay, so
the member.
so
I
the
mean,
big
it's not giant. We have like
yeah.
around 800 members.
Yeah. So, but it's this community that you've created
Yes.
where people really learn how to take these action steps, and it's a very focused program that will allow us to. Each person has to see for themselves what are the blocks, what is. I have this internal reality, but I'm not manifesting it. Well, that's because there are things that are blocking us, right? There are things that are noisy, chaotic, that
Yeah.
we are sabotaging ourselves, and we don't see
Hmm.
that clearly. We need help to see that.
We do. We do. And what are the best ways do you find to know what our blocks are? I mean, and then you answer and then I'll say.
um, well, because we're blocked, we're restless, we're upset, we're clenching our jaw, we're pissed off. For me, when I begin cursing under my breath and I'm muttering and I'm sighing a lot, I realize, what the hell am I doing? So paying attention
Mm,
to the body carries
paying
the block.
attention to the body.
It tells
Yes.
you right away.
Does.
I have two things. I curse under my breath, like, and I'm like, what am I doing? For little things, like if the doorbell rings when I don't want it to ring and I'm cursing, I go, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I have to pay attention. Or I sigh a lot, like I'm some victim princess damsel. I'm like, why am I sighing? I've only been up for 20 minutes, because there's a buildup of inner chaos. What about you?
Well, that piece around the body is so at the core of what I practice in my own life, and then what I work with people on is that I believe, and I am actually am curious about what you think, that there's just a limit to what we can do with our mind because so much of our experience lives in our body and so much of our habitual action originates in the body, no matter what we're trying to do with our mindset. I just think mindset is like, I'm like, I don't know, like there's that's just up here and but it lives
Right.
in our body. And so often it's like, why do I keep, eating chips at the
Right.
kitchen cabinet at 11 p.m. when I've
Right.
like told myself not to,
Me
but my
too.
body
Yeah.
is doing it, right? Like that's
I
my
know.
thing is like late night
Yeah.
chips.
Yeah. Me
Or
too.
why do I keep scrolling when I my mind knows, like I'm telling my mind not to
Yeah.
do this because that inner chaos piece we haven't tended to
Tapped
our
into it.
physical reality
Yes.
and allowed whatever needs to come through to come through. And so that's why I love the whole world of nervous system healing and trauma resolution and all of that because it's so somatic based. It's so physically based. And one of the things we've just added into Origin actually is a monthly central nervous system healing call with a somatic experiencing expert so that our entrepreneurs can come together and work on healing their nervous system so that they're not running their businesses from a chaotic internal place.
Yes. Yeah. Your
Yeah.
community, communities like Origin are so important to get together, to support each other, to learn from each other. And anyway, yeah. So the body is always talking, and we need to really listen. And that's how the inner begins to align with the outer, right? Like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
I know things, but I'm acting completely anti what I want. So we don't have to shame ourselves when that happens. We have to go, whoa, what is my body trying to tell me? What is my life trying to tell me? What are my relationships trying to tell me?
Yes, my friend Sarah Jenks talks about it as living life as a mystery school. So that
Yes,
really, like that, it's asking those questions. What are my relationships trying to tell me? What is my life trying to tell me? What is my business trying to tell me? You know, because things happen in our business that are not what we planned and not what we wanted. And it's like, okay, what's the message here? What's the
yes,
opportunity for growth? So
yes.
for you, Shefali, can you just, I'm now going to ask you a real practical question. Can you tell me about like what your, a little bit about your business model from behind the scenes? Like, is it focused on your courses? Is it focused on your books? Like, what is kind of the breakdown of the energy and where you're putting your attention these days?
Yeah, so I had to really figure out, what is the core of the roots of my branches. And I think that's very
Mm-hmm.
important for people to figure out. So for me, it is teaching and doing service, right? So now that I've decided that's the core, and each person should decide what that is. If it's feeding
Yes.
people or, the environment. So decide what your core is. So for me, as long as I am teaching, healing, teaching how to help people to heal themselves, I'll be okay. So once I
Yeah.
decide my core mission, now the branches can be as creative and diverse as I want, right? So I like a lot of things, like different things. I have to write, I have to talk, I have to create, programs, and I have to keep my mind active. So I write books, I teach seminars, and I come up with different courses. So then we once we decide the core, we can decide the faces of that core. Maybe
Yes.
you just want to cook salads, for the rest of you want to feed people by cooking salads. Okay, do that. But there's a systematic way to figure out how to manifest your inner being. But the core is
Mm.
very important. So as long as I stay to my core, I then create a schedule that matches that core. So Kate Northrup asked me to talk to her. I'm like, oh, she's completely aligned with my core. But if somebody wants me to invest in stocks and talk about that on Instagram, or make money or something else
Yeah.
which is not my core, how can I do it? So I say no. So now I begin to, parse out and prune my life based on my core. And as
Mm-hmm.
long as I'm following my core, I don't really get too tired. My body can get tired because of just wanting sleep or rest, but my
Yeah.
spirit, that essence, is constantly energized. I don't do less. I actually do so much. But your philosophy is not to, it's to do less out of ego. That's what you're talking about.
It
Do
it
less of the
really is.
bullshit. Do less of the
Do
bullshit.
less of the bullshit. Do less of the stuff that doesn't matter. Do less of the stuff that's like
Ego shit,
trying to feed
Yeah,
some
yeah.
race that you don't even want to be part of.
Yeah, do less of the nonsense, the things that eat up your time and take away from your energy. But then
Mm.
when you take that away, you're energized and you're in flow. Whether it's
I love
changing your
that.
baby's diaper or making money, it doesn't matter. It's
It
what is your
doesn't
core.
matter.
And women need to know that they can't do it all. I think this
Right.
toxic message, you can do it all. Yeah, you can do it all when you have 10,000 people helping you.
Right.
You can only do what you can do. There's only so many things you can do. So these
Yes.
young mothers, meaning mothers of young children, where you are so exhausted, you are so exhausted, you kids under 6, exhausting, because you are doing for them. They
Yeah.
can't do not. They don't do. They have to brush their teeth. They have to change their diaper. Now
Oh
you're
yeah.
doing 10 more people's jobs for these little people. For those young mothers to be thinking they should be doing it all, getting a skinny body, making money, being this, being, is a toxic message.
It is.
You can only do a few things, focus on a few things. When my kid was young, till she was 10, Kate, I didn't really start launching because I couldn't launch. Every time I made a plan, it was getting sabotaged, and I was in resistance and getting angry with my kid till I realized I'm the problem. I'm putting too much. Mothers have a lot. I mean, just to mother, we're always mothering, whether you're biological or not. And then to actually physically labor on mother, the mother's relationship is very different than the father's. And it's exhausting for us women. So we need to back off the pressure on ourselves, trying to
Oh
be
my
skinny,
gosh.
trying to be healthy, trying to be gourmet chefs. One day I went to a client's house in the morning, and because she was having issues with her kid in the morning. And then I saw why. She's making a milkshake, then she's making a berry salad, then she has a bar, then she has an egg. I'm like, who's going to eat all this? Then she's fighting with the kid who doesn't eat her gourmet meal. I'm like, you think your son gourmet chef at a Michelin breakfast place? Like, go work there. Like, this is chaos. Okay, children, you're lucky if they eat a bite of an apple. So she
So
said,
true.
she's like, but the pyramid breakfast is the most important meal. I'm like, tear up the pyramid. I said,
Yes.
no more breakfast till your kid says, I want to eat. She's like, really? I said, yes. Till they say, I'm hungry, do not feed them. Why are you doing this? Because she had an idea of being of
Yes.
the triangle.
Thank you for this. Oh my gosh. It's so, yes, because like we need to let ourselves off the hook. We
Yes.
need to let ourselves off the hook of this idealized view of what motherhood should look like, or what entrepreneurship should look like,
Yes.
or what marriage should look like, or what
Oh my
our
God.
bodies like. It's just, and so something that you really have helped me with, and I want to talk about it, is the isness and surrendering and being with the isness. So let's say somebody's watching right now and the way their business is going, like their expenses are higher than their revenue, and they've been trying these different things, and like, they've been putting out all this free content and no one is buying their stuff, and they're frustrated, right? So they're in this isness, which is not how they would like it to be. So can you talk a little bit about, what would be some approaches to that situation around accepting what is, while also not, because I think
Giving up.
there's a difference between,
Giving up.
exactly, the
Yeah.
difference between accepting and giving up
Yeah. It's so
when
hard for
shit's
people.
hard, because running a business is hard. I'm never going to be the one to tell you it's easy. It's not.
Anything is hard, right? So the minute I tell
Yes.
people to accept the isness, they're like, oh, so I'm just going to give up. I'm like,
Right.
no, no. So, yeah, accepting the isness is my life philosophy. And people get so annoyed with me because they're always
It
like,
is
okay, okay,
annoying.
okay.
It's
You're going
annoying,
to
but
say,
it's so good.
you're going to say, it is what it is. Okay, so why do I say that? Because the first block that occurs in us is resistance against the isness. And you know how much energy we waste resisting the isness? All I'm saying is if we can take that energy and put it somewhere else, that will help us. So we have to first recognize that we're resisting the isness. So for me, for example, for the last 4 days, I have literally eaten every bad food because my body's in that cycle, right? I'm blaming my body cycle. So I am upset with myself. I'm fighting the isness, and I'm wasting energy being at war with myself. Similarly, for a business, damn it, I'm putting out all this content. I'm not getting the likes that Kate gets, and what is she doing that I'm not doing? And we're fighting, fighting. We're coming from the space of anger, war, resistance. If you recognize that in yourself, understand that you are now fighting reality instead of approaching it creatively. So part of that resistance comes from an internal glitch that we need to pay attention to. And I call it the princess glitch, or the damsel in distress glitch, or the I'm so special, why is this happening to me glitch? Because people have a false understanding that people like you and me, for example, who they may look to, came out of like, oh, it's so easy for them. And you and I know how hard it was for us. So I remind people all the time that there was a time that nobody bought my books. No one had even heard of me. Like one person read my book and I was so happy in the whole year. Okay, like nothing, crickets. And it took like years, years and years for a dent. And people forget that. So the isness is that it takes a shitload of time. and shitload of energy. That is the isness. So fighting that is fighting reality. It takes years to break. So the question really is not, why am I not making fancy videos that people like? It is, why am I not accepting that this is the hard work it takes? Right? I mean, it takes hard work. This is the isness. I mean, I work like insane amount because I'm in flow and I love it, but I'm never giving up. It's been 25 years of this. People forget, you know, the PhD took 7 years, 100 years. It's so much effort. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it takes, and that's what I love what you said is that, your body can get tired and then you need to rest, of course. And I think that's so important. And yet your spirit is energized because you're doing work that's aligned. And that piece is so critical to know what that core is so that you can come back to when you're having trouble accepting the isness. Come back to that core. Yes. What are those roots? Yes. For Shefali, it's about awakening. For me, it's about getting people in their bodies. Yes. And so it's like, yeah, do I teach entrepreneurship? Yes. But what I really teach is for you to get in your body.
Beautiful. And so Kate, so when people lose that focus, right? You come back. Yeah. I come back. We have something to come back to. The pot of gold is what inside us, we come back. Then when we don't get the like, or we don't get the book deal, or our book is, nobody's reading it, we're like, that's okay. I didn't do it for others. I did it because I wanted to be in this pot of gold, talking to myself if need be. But yes. I like the pot of gold. So what is your pot of gold?
Pot of gold. It's
but
so
it's inside
good.
you,
Yes.
But then we forget it's that, and we're like, oh, I need to make money, or I need to be liked, or I need to be popular. Then you lied about your pot of gold, And if your pot of gold depends on other people, you're going to be in trouble.
It's not the pot of gold. I love that so much. And one of the things that I really didn't come to until 2018 was what that pot of gold was for me. I mean, it took me a long time. I already had a 7-figure business. I already had books published, but I didn't know what it was. And so it's been amazing to notice the difference in how soul satisfying the work becomes and how much less I care about all the bullshit since that time. And it's one of the first steps that you take when you join Origin is the process of figuring out what is my purpose? What is my, and am I saying I'm going to tell you? No, I'm never going to tell you what your purpose is. But like there is an inquiry that we can go through to figure it out and to allow it to show itself to us, to reveal itself to us. And Absolutely. In a community of other people who are committed to that, I believe it comes, it's more likely to arrive.
Community ignites it. We need other people's process to ignite our process because there's no one way. That's why your community origin is so important for women to feel that we're all in it together. Otherwise, you are isolated and you think these fantasies that other people are lucky, other people are beautiful, other people are talented, and what do I have to offer, right? This is the desolate place.
Yeah, it's such that is the illusion. That is the illusion.
It's an illusion, yeah.
Wow. So, okay, I'm going to just put right here in the chat, if you do want to learn about Origin, I'm going to put the link to the info sessions. And then Shefali, what I would like to know is from you, as we kind of wrap up here, is what would you go back and tell yourself 10 to 15 years ago when you were first starting in business, kind of on your own outside the world of academia, right? What would you tell yourself? What would be that piece of wisdom that you would want to impart?
That burning restlessness is so beautiful, but you don't have to burn so much. It does just takes time. I remember I used to be like, it has to happen now, and that kept me going, but it didn't happen now. It took years. And back then I didn't know how bloody long things take. And time and patience is part of entrepreneurship. It's a long arc. Everything is a long damn arc, including our children's childhood. It's a long arc. And we want everything now. And we have to eliminate instant gratification. Check our ego. How much do I want the quick ride up? I want the fast track. Those happen once in a while in a blue moon to a few people. And the people it happens to too early, like celebrities who get it too fast, too early, they crash and burn. There's an evolution. Evolution, like our Earth's evolution, takes billions of years. We need to adapt. If it's not happening right now because we're not ready for it, it matures. Things mature. I wasn't ready for what I'm experiencing today 10 years ago. I wasn't ready. So it's an illusion, that it happens fast. Any business, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, these ubiquitous people that people mention, these white successful men.
Yeah, they maybe aren't the best examples right now, but totally, yes.
But these ideations of these fancy people who are successful, they began in their 20s, really small,
or even
Everyone
before.
will tell you. Or even before,
like programming in high school.
Small. I used to write in my journal, poetry about mothers and children. And when I look back, I laugh, but those were the seeds.
Yes.
And I think people forget because you just see the end result of, say, a Shefali or Kate, and we're not even that, but we're just doing the work. We think, it's a projection. And I do it to other people who I look at as successful, and I know now it's a projection. I know not to fall for it.
It really is so seductive, and it really is a dead end, that projection. I'm so glad you said that. And there was one more thing I wanted to ask you, and it just flew out of my head. So I'm going to trust that it wasn't right. But anyway, I'm so grateful, Shefali, for, I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to highlight that you said about time and patience and getting rid of instant gratification. And I want to circle back to what you said about the pot of gold, that when we are liking being in our pot of gold, it's easier to be patient because the joy is actually present right now, even without checking off the box of that achievement or the next thing, right?
Absolutely, but that's what I meant by manifestation. Your external syncs up with your internal. But if you're not clear about your internal, you're always going to be chaotic. That's why we always start. I love your title, Origin. What's the basis? This is the origin of it all, the internal work.
It is. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so I'm so grateful for you in this conversation. It really lit me up this morning. Thank you. This is my, I just love, this is part of my pot of gold, is like getting to have these conversations. And in full transparency, in the lead up to the opening of Origin that we're doing next week, I was like, I know all the launch strategies. I've done all the launch strategies. I was like, what do I really feel like doing? And I said, what I really feel like doing is talking to the women I love and admire about their businesses. Yeah, and so that's what I've been doing. And I don't really know if it's working, and I don't really care. And so I'm so grateful for you being here to have this conversation with me.